My name's Emily Carter, and no, I didn't wake up one day and stumble into childcare. I trained for this. Infant CPR, trauma-informed care, de-escalation, sleep hygiene, sensory strategies, special needs modules. The kind of stuff folks only Google at 3 a.m. when the toddler's melting down and the dog is howling in C-sharp. I'm not a hobby. I'm a system. The Walker's apartment looked like Pinterest got a promotion. Neutral tones, soft lighting, a calendar big enough to plan a moon landing. Sophia greeted me with that calm, confident energy you only get from a spreadsheet soul. She walked me through the evening file. Allergies, strawberries for Logan, tree nuts for Mia, bedtime routine, toothbrushing song, 90 seconds, top hits only, and a color-coded snack chart that made my type A heart salute. Then she handed me a clean, stapled printout, our service agreement. We'd already finalized it over email, but she liked things official. Me too. Clarity is kindness. Q. Ryan, Walker, Mr. Business Casual with a comedy mic he never asked for. He skimmed the contract like it owed him rent. Wow, a lot of lines for someone who watches cartoons for a living, he said, smirking. I smiled the smile I save for people who mistake calm for easy. Structure keeps kids safe. The lines are where the peace lives. He snorted. Relax, you're just the babysitter. That line? I've heard it 100 ways. The shrug, the joke, the oh come on. It's always the same song. Underestimate the role, then panic when chaos shows up wearing dinosaur pajamas. Mia, 6, unicorn hoodie, future CEO, sized me up like I was applying for a board seat. Logan, 4, rocket PJs, professional blur, buzzed around the couch, narrating his own action movie. I crouched to their level, soft voice, steady eyes. Hey team, I'm Emily. I've got the game plan. One in? Mia shrugged, testing me. We usually do whatever. Cool, I said. Tonight we're doing whatever in order. She smirked, hook set. I always start with predictable beats. Choice within boundaries. Logan, you want the blue plate or the green plate? Green. So green is for veggies. Incredible. Captain Green, report to broccoli. He laughed. Veggies disappeared. Mia got the control she craved. Do you want to brush first or bath first? She picked bath. Ownership equals buy-in. By 7:45, we were in the pocket. Bath time had a script. Wash, rinse, wrap burrito. Lotion becomes kid armor for the night. Pajamas are the mission suit. We named feelings like traffic lights. Red means too much. Yellow means I need a minute. Green means go time. They loved it. Kids don't fear structure. They fear surprise. At 8:15, lights low. I ran the bedtime story like a mini podcast. Voices, cliffhangers, a rhythm that slows their breathing. Mia tucked her unicorn and said, "You make it feel easy." I whispered back, "It's easy when we do it together. Teamwork makes sleep work." She giggled into her pillow. Logan was out like a light, one hand still clutching a plastic rocket. Downstairs, I rinsed cups, wiped counters, logged notes in the family app with timestamps. Wins, wobbles, tomorrow suggestions. Systems talk even when you don't. Sophia peeked in, soft, grateful smile. How'd tonight go? I said, smooth. Logan loved the green plate. Mia is a strategist. You've got leaders here. She exhaled a week of stress in one breath. Thank you. Ryan strolled in with a glass and a grin. So, did we survive the apocalypse known as bedtime? I said, we did, with dignity. He winked. Nice. Night, babysitter. Like a paper airplane tossed at my forehead. I didn't flinch. I just clocked it. Tone, timing, casual downgrade. Here's the thing about disrespect. It rarely shows up in a loud suit. It drifts in wearing cologne and calling you relax. On the elevator, I checked my phone. Sophia had sent a quick thank you text and a smiley. I replied with a short debrief. Consistent routine, same time tomorrow, all good. Then I opened the PDF of our contract for the 1,000th time. Not to obsess, but to remember the architecture I'd built for nights just like this. If someone wants to keep joking, cool. I work in receipts. Receipts don't laugh. They settle. People see a sitter. I see infrastructure. Rails that keep the train upright. And tonight, those rails held. But the real test? It was already picking a fight with tomorrow. Night 2 had a different flavor. The kind you can smell before the elevator doors open. Laughter too loud, music faint behind a closed office door, the afterglow of client drinks that always last exactly 3 drinks too long. "Hey, superstar!" Ryan called from the kitchen, leaning like gravity owed him money. "No need to be so strict, okay? Mia can stay up a bit. It's not boot camp." I set my bag down, unbothered. We follow the routine because it works. Predictability is safety. He grinned like he discovered fire. Predictability is boring. Kids remember the fun nights. Loosen up, you're just a babysitter. I didn't blink. I don't perform for disrespect. I reroute. "Logan, Captain Green, you on broccoli duty?" He saluted, already chewing. Mia eyed me, curious. She'd heard the tone. Kids always do. We ate, cleaned, moved into the wind down. Ryan drifted in and out, tossing chirps like confetti. "You don't need to narrate every move. They can put themselves to bed. We're not the Marines, Sergeant." I kept the rhythm. Bath, brush, book, bed. Consistency is the metronome that drowns out chaos. Upstairs, Mia whispered, "Dad says rules are for babies." I whispered back, "Rules are rails. Trains don't fly. They glide because the rails are strong." She nodded, satisfied. Kids don't need loopholes. They need landing gear. At 8:30, the house softened. 2 sleeping kids, 1 tidy kitchen. A log of the evening in the app. Dash. Logan ate well with green plate strategy. Dash. Mia chose bath first, brushed for 90 seconds with timer song. Dash. Both asleep 8:22 to 8:28. Minimal protest. Notes matter. They're timestamps for truth. My phone buzzed. "Sophia, all good?" Ryan said everything's fine. I stared at that line. Said everything's fine. Messaging is marketing. Reality is metrics. I typed back, "All good on my end. Routine locked. We'll update after tuck-in." Not a lie. Just not the director's cut. And then I opened the contract again. Page 3, second paragraph. The one Ryan didn't clock because men like him skim through life until the invoice arrives. The clause looked simple on paper. Bonus. Paid if routines and safety protocols are upheld for 2 consecutive weeks, verifiable via logs or messages. Dash. Harassment fee. Triggered by repeated belittling or hostile conduct toward the service provider in the workplace. The home, documented across at least 2 dates. Dash. Escalation provision. If the environment becomes hostile or unsafe, client covers attorney's fees and formal complaint filing upon written notice. No legalese theater, just plain English with a steel spine. People assume contracts are only about money. They're about boundaries with consequences. You don't need to raise your voice when the paper can. I built that clause for exactly this energy. The smiling shrug, the relax, the casual downgrade. Not to start a war, to prevent one. 9 times out of 10, the existence of boundaries stops the slide. But you have to be willing to enforce them. Lines aren't real if you won't hold them. Downstairs, Ryan tried one more layup. "So, bonus money if you make them do military bedtime, huh?" I met his eyes. Friendly, steady. "Bonus money if I keep your kids regulated, safe, and sleeping." That's not military. That's parenting with a plan. He chuckled, turned away, tossed, "Whatever you say, babysitter." I didn't answer. I just saved my logs, emailed myself a backup, and added 1 line to the private memo I keep for my records. Pattern of belittling language observed on consecutive nights. Tone dismissive, undermining. Children present. Time stamped. Dated. Objective. Not emotional, professional. On my way out, Sophia met me at the door, fingertips pressed to her temple. "Thanks again, Emily. You're making nights feel possible." I said, "They're more than possible. They're predictable." Predictable is how kids heal from the day. She exhaled gratitude. From the living room, Ryan called, "Night, babysitter," like he was signing a yearbook. Here's the quiet truth. The more someone tries to shrink your role, the more it's because your role is doing something they don't understand. Structure looks invisible to people who've never had to hold it. But structure is why dinner gets eaten, why tears get named, why sleep actually happens. Back home, I set the phone on my desk and stared at the screen for a beat. I don't like conflict. I like peace. But peace has paperwork. And if a line needed drawing, it would be drawn with clean language and clean hands, in the ink of the agreement his wife already signed. They called me just the babysitter. Cool story. Wait till you read the clause. By night 3, I had a rhythm and a radar. The thing about patterns, they announced themselves. Monday evening carried that Monday weight. Emails still buzzing in adult heads, kid energy zigzagging like static. I arrived early, ran my quiet sweep. Cups filled, night kit stocked, lights softened 2 notches, rails ready. Sophia greeted me with eyes that had slept. They woke up smiling, she said, almost surprised. Wins matter. We named it. Ryan hovered in the doorway, keys in hand, a half-smile clipped to his face. Client dinner might run late, he said. You got it, Emily. No smirk. Progress, with an asterisk. Dinner moved like a well-oiled machine. Mia counted cherry tomatoes to practice skip counting. Logan constructed a runway for carrot rockets. I framed bedtime as a mission. Launch window at 8:20. We hit it, we get a smooth landing. Buy-in secured. Then, the almost accident happened. The kind that looks tiny until the alternate timeline flashes in your brain. We were brushing teeth when the crash sounded downstairs. Glass, then silence, then Ryan's voice. We're good. A second later, a sharp smell rode the air. Citrus, chemical, sting. My body moved before my brain debated. I flipped bathroom fans on, cracked the window an inch, and ran the scan. Kids okay? Airflow okay? Hazard contained? Downstairs, Ryan had dropped a bottle of industrial-strength cleaner, shattered across tile. He was barefoot. He laughed it off. I'll wipe it. Chill. Pause, I said, steady. Shoes on, kids upstairs, door closed. Ventilating now. He opened his mouth. I cut the room with quiet authority. This is a safety call. I guided Mia and Logan back to their rooms like a shepherd with invisible lines. In Mia's doorway, she whispered, Is it bad? I said, Not bad, just needs respect. Back in the kitchen, I gloved up. Night trill gloves from the night kit. Laid down paper towels to protect the drains, opened 2 more windows. I blocked off the area with chairs because visual boundaries beat verbal ones when people are stressed. Then I gave Ryan a job that couldn't get in the way. Can you bring me the trash can? Slowly. Shoes on. He looked at me like he'd been demoted in his own house. Then he did it. Not because I outranked him, because the situation did. Cleanup took 5 minutes that felt like a set of choices. And each turn, I narrated just enough to lower threat without spiking panic. We're keeping the air moving. We're protecting feet. We're removing shards. We're good. I sanitized the area, triple-checked for glitter glass, washed hands, documented the time. When I came back upstairs, Logan was clutching his rocket, Mia sitting upright like a sentry. I kneeled to their level. Real talk. Downstairs is safe again. Your bodies are safe. Your job is rest. My job is everything else. Their shoulders dropped, breath slowed, lights down, story cadence slow enough to guide them into sleep. One more pass on doors and windows, quiet restored. Downstairs, Ryan leaned on the counter, arms folded, that old scran trying to make a comeback. You really turned the spill into a mission briefing. I rinsed the gloves, bagged the waste, tied it tight. I turned a hazard into nothing. Nothing is the goal. He watched the bag, watched me, then nodded once. A tiny bow to competence he didn't have a joke for. Not tonight. I logged the incident, factual, crisp, and added a line to my private memo. Environmental hazard, cleaner spill, provider executed safety protocol, adult followed direction after initial pushback. It's not drama. It's the difference between we got lucky and we stayed safe. On my way out, Sophia met me at the door, voice low. I smelled it. Thank you. I said, air's clear. Kids are steady. Her eyes glossed with relief she didn't put into words. Ryan said, Night, Emily. Still Emily, no extra syllables stapled on. Maybe the almost accident did what jokes couldn't. It reminded the room why structure exists. Some lessons don't land at the table. They land on tile and the sharp smell of coulda been. You handle it clean, you tuck the kids, you write the receipt, and then you sleep because tomorrow will ask for more. Tuesday wasn't a surprise. It was a calendar invite with feelings. When I arrived, the contract sat on the kitchen table. 2 mugs, 3 chairs. The air wore honesty. Sophia motioned me to sit. Ryan sat too, shoulders squarer than usual, like he'd been rehearsing not to flinch. He pushed the contract forward with one finger. "Let's talk like adults," he said, a sentence that can go either way. Sophia opened. "I asked for this." Her tone was a straight line, no wobble. "We want the kids regulated. We hired a professional. We signed a contract. I need the home to match the paper." Ryan glanced at her, then at me. "I read it, all of it," he exhaled. "I didn't realize how much of your job is not vibes." I didn't soften it. "My job is nervous systems. That includes yours." I slid a printed one-pager across the table. Neutral font, black and white. Behavior that keeps kids regulated for adults. No secret requests. All asks go through the provider during provider shift. No undermining language. If you disagree, step into the hallway, not in the moment. Boundaries are boring on purpose. Boring is the point. Boring is safe. If tension rises, I call a pause. We reset. Kids never carry the weight. Ryan read it like it wasn't a trap. Sophia placed her hand near his, not on it. Support without rescue. She looked at me. "What's the consequence if we slip?" I tapped the contract. "We already agreed documented patterns trigger fees and, if necessary, attorney coverage. But that's not the point. The point is consistency. If we hold the rails, we'll need none of that." Ryan cleared his throat. "About Saturday." I didn't let him spiral into apology theater. "I've logged it. I've also logged your pivots." I pointed to a second page. Timestamps of progress. Monday's Emily. Monday's compliance during the cleaner spill. Momentum matters. He blinked like he wasn't expecting me to be fair. People are surprised when you record the good with the bad. Accountability isn't hunting, it's measuring. Sophia took the reins. "So here's what we're doing," she said. "Practical. During Emily's shifts, bedtime is Emily's call. If either of us has feedback, it goes to me first after the shift. No jokes in the moment, no secret deals. We align, then we adjust, outside the kids' ears." Ryan nodded. 1, 2, 3 times. "Okay." He looked at me a long second. "I grew up where teasing meant love. I'm realizing it also meant nobody took anything seriously until something broke." I kept my voice clean. "Jokes are fine, but when kids hear just the babysitter, they hear the rules aren't real, and that makes their bodies work twice as hard." He rubbed his jaw. "Got it." We made it official. Sophia wrote a short addendum on her tablet. During provider shift, all child-facing decisions defer to provider's plan. Disagreements routed post-shift to client email. No direct undermining or secrecy. Breach equals immediate fee per section 3C. We all initialed. Paper met practice. Then I did something most people don't expect. I asked them what they needed. "What's hardest about these rails? For you?" I looked at Ryan. He didn't posture. Feeling like a guest in my own house and feeling called out in front of my friends. His shoulders dipped 1 inch. Vulnerability, the unannounced visitor. I noted it. "Here's my offer. In group settings, I'll keep corrections aimed at the kids, not you. If I need an adult pivot, I'll use the code phrase, safety check. That's your cue to adjust without a scene." I let it land, but the boundary still stands. He nodded. "Deal." We shook a truce that wasn't a vibe. It was a set of behaviors. Then I went to work, because the best way to prove a system is to run it. That night, Mia tried the classic CEO move, renegotiate at the 11th hour. 2 more minutes a tablet? I grinned. Counteroffer. 0 more minutes, but I'll sing the astronaut song while you brush. Astronaut song? Brand new, chart topping. I sang something ridiculous about toothpaste in space. She laughed so hard she forgot the bargain. Logan hovered by the couch about to launch. Ryan caught my eye. I whispered, "Safety check." He pivoted to a towel folding mission so smooth it would have fooled a jury. At 8:18, Mia presented her case. 2 more minutes? I counted like always. 0 minutes, longer back rub. She accepted the deal like a CEO who trusts the market. They slept on time.
The house exhaled on time, and then the thing that stitches a story closed without fanfare happened, the apology that wasn't performative. Ryan stood by the fridge, eyes on the manual, voice low. I called you just a babysitter to keep my ego tall. Turns out the tallest thing in this house is the rails you set for my kids. I see it now. I'm in. I didn't do the cute humility dance. I kept it clinical and kind. Then sign your initials on the bottom margin. Make the promise visible. He laughed once, soft, real, and initialed RW under the line that said non-negotiables. Sophia slipped an envelope on the counter. Retainer paid in advance. Not a kip, a stake in continuity. I like knowing boring will keep showing up. Thursday came with company. Grandma Ruth, announced by the scent of lavender and opinions. She swept in with a casserole and a mission to time travel the house back to 1989. Her first words weren't hello. They were, when my boys were little, we didn't need schedules. We had common sense. Mia froze mid-crayon. Logan clutched his rocket like a passport. I stepped forward with the softest armor. Hi, Miss Ruth. I'm Emily. I run the evening rails so the kids' nervous systems don't have to. She smiled the kind of smile that grades you. Nervous systems. My. We called that being children. Ryan hovered, already looking like a man caught between weather systems. Sophia slid me a glance that said, storm's here. Use the map. We did snack like a ceremony. Small plates, water, no sugar ambushes. Ruth clocked it. You counting crackers now? Not counting, predicting. Predictable food equals predictable kids. Ruth chuckled. Predictability is dull. I said, boring is the point. Boring is safe. Her eyes said touche, but her mouth said,
Before I left, I posted the secondary sitter cheat sheet in the pantry, laminated, bullet-pointed, workable by flashlight if the power ever cut. I closed my log with continuity clause executed, retainer paid, secondary sitter trained, culture shift stabilized. On my way out, Ruth texted Sophia a photo from that morning. Both kids dressed, no tears. Caption? Okay, I concede. The 8:30 miracle is real. Sophia forwarded it to me with a single word, team. At the door, Ryan said the sentence that fixes the title you read at the start. Good night, Emily. Not just anything. The contract was on the fridge. The rails were in the floorboards. The jokes had retired from HR. Tomorrow would come, loud and bright and honest. And the house would be ready, because we chose boring, and boring chose us back. Monday handed us a curveball disguised as a permission slip. First grade field trip, museum, buses, a chorus of zippers. Transitions stack like dominoes on days like this. Sophia texted a heads up. Big day for Mia. Could you do after-school pickup in the calm-down window? Absolutely. Rails love a transition. Out came the kids at 3:07, Mia wearing a paper astronaut helmet, Logan waving a crumpled brochure like a flag. Mia's eyes were bright, but her shoulders were up near her ears. That's the thing about great days. They're loud on the inside. I knelt. Download time, one highlight each. Mia, I touched a meteor rock. Logan, bus had seat belts. Perfect. 1 foot back on the ground. I slipped them water, opened the car with that soft playlist hum already cued, and drove like we were landing a plane. Halfway to the house, the day reached back and tried to grab them. A mom from class, Heather, the queen of friendly with judgment inside the bubble wrap, pulled up beside us at the light. Window down. Hey, you're the babysitter, she sang. We were just talking. Mia's routine seems intense. Maybe ease up. Kids need to be kids. Mia stopped breathing for a second. Logan clutched his brochure. I didn't rise to the bait. Hey, Heather. I'm Emily, family's provider. We follow rails so big days don't crash small bodies. Heather smiled like I'd missed a joke she wasn't telling. Just saying. They're kids. Bedtime at 8:30? On a field trip day? The light turned green. She waved like confetti and sped off. In the rear view, I watched Mia's face pick up the weight and try to carry it. Not today, I said, gentle. Reminder, we don't take grown-up whispers into our beds. We let them float away. I unclenched my own jaw so she'd mirror it. Kids borrow your nervous system when theirs is tapped out. At the house, I staged the landing. Re-entry routine. Snack, water, quiet table, one creative task. Mia drew the museum map from memory. Logan lined up his cars by planet color, whispering launch codes again. I didn't ask 100 questions. I gave their bodies the cue to file the day away. Ryan came in at 5:10, tie loose, eyes scanning the room like a dad who finally knows what to look for. He clocked the paper helmet, the art spread, the breathing that had found its pace. "How was the trip, CEO?" Mia held up her drawing. "I remember the whole thing." Ryan crouched. "That's your brain telling you it trusts you." I gave him the beat about Heather. Not gossipy, just data. Another parent suggested we loosen bedtime because it's a fun day. Ryan stood up slower than he sat down, old reflexes fighting new rails. He said, "I used to love that line. Let 'em live a little." Translation, "Let tomorrow pay for tonight." He took a breath. Not anymore. Dinner was calm. I ran the two choices, one outcome play. Mia picked peas before pasta. CEO move. Logan tried the no hands at the table experiment. I slid a napkin under his elbows and narrated, "We do gentle hands while we chew." He copied the cue without a peep. At 7:40, Mia's edges fuzzed, the post-big day wobble. I adjusted the plan. Shorter bath, longer back rub, one extra verse of the astronaut song. I dimmed the lights early. "We're landing 10 minutes ahead to beat the weather," I whispered, pilot voice. She smiled into her pillow like she got the reference. Downstairs, the doorbell popped. The social tornado returns. Heather stood there with a casserole and that PTA smile. "Just wanted to welcome the sitter officially," she said to me, like she'd been elected hostess of the neighborhood. "We're very casual on our street. Kids roam, bedtime's fluid." Ryan didn't defer. He held the door with one hand and the rails with the other. "Appreciate the casserole. We're not fluid here. Rails start at 6 and end at 9. It's why mornings don't explode." He didn't look at me for backup. He didn't turn it into a fight. He said it like a calendar item. Heather blinked. "Oh, well, different strokes." "Exactly," Ryan said. "Friendly. Final. Different house." She left. The door closed. Ryan faced the kitchen like a man who'd just done a small, hard thing on purpose. He said, "Old me would have invited chaos to look cool. New me likes boring." Boring is the point. Boring is safe. At 8:31, both kids were out. At 8:36, the house exhaled. I logged the day. Field trip recovery protocol used. External pressure deflected by parent. Bedtime advanced by 10. Successful landing. In my private memo, parent defending rails to pier, alignment solidifying. On my way out, Ryan said, "Good night, Emily." Then he added, "Thanks for not letting whispers run our house." That's the thing about rails. They're louder than gossip if you keep showing up. Wednesday night shifted from normal to urgent in a breath. At 7:52, just as we were winding down, Logan's forehead told the truth my ears didn't want to hear. Warm. Too warm. He blinked slow, went quiet. That quiet isn't peace. It's the body rerouting power. Assessment mode. I washed hands, grabbed the night kit thermometer, told Mia we were running a Starship Systems check. Logan, 101.8, rising. No cough, no rash, breathing steady, glassy eyes. I dimmed the lights further to lower the nervous system load and moved quick without noise. "Ryan," I called softly. He stepped in like a man who's learned not to bring panic to a child's bed. "Status?" I said, "Fever." "He's still drinking, breathing's fine. I'm calling Sophia to align on meds dosage and pediatrician's advice." This is where trust earns its keep. I texted Sophia with our like-for-like script. Temp 101.8 at 7:52. No cough, no rash, fluids okay, affect quiet. Approve acetaminophen per weight from your doc card? She replied in 20 seconds. She already had their dosing card on her phone. Permission granted. I documented, dosed, rechecked. Mia's face was a question mark. Is Logan going to be sick forever? No, I said. His body's fighting. Fevers are like superhero training. It's hot work. She nodded like that made everything make sense. Ryan hovered, useless hands aching to be useful. Old him would have joked. New him asked, "What do you need?" Water refreshed, cool washcloth, and let me call the pediatric after-hours line on speaker so you hear the plan too. He moved. No debate, no grandstanding. The nurse confirmed our steps. Monitor, fluids, meds per weight, room cool, recheck in 30. ER if lethargy or breathing changes. We all said copy because clarity is oxygen. We split the room by jobs. I kept Logan's world small, shadows low, fan low, voice lower. I did the 30-second story loop. 2 sentences, same rhythm, same ending. Rocket sleeps. Body fights. We rest. His breath synced to the cadence. Mia camped on the floor beside the bed with a blankie, then glanced at me for rules. I said, "You can stay for 2 minutes. Then I'll tuck you. Your job is to sleep so we can help again if we need to." She obeyed, like it was a mission. The power flickered at 8:21, a storm rolling in from the edge of town. Lights dipped, then steadied, then cut. Blackout. House went quiet enough to hear worry. No drama. I pulled the flashlight from the night kit, clipped it to a drawer handle to bounce light off the ceiling, soft, not harsh. I switched to the battery fan, kept Logan's temperature cool, and texted Sophia. Power out at 8:22. We're stable, using backup fan, monitoring. She pinged back. On my way home. You've got this. Not a command, a vote of confidence. Ryan stood there with 1,000 old reactions and one new plan. He leaned toward the doorway, took a breath, and said, "Safety check." Song, chorus repeat on Fridays. Logan, fever-free, launched a paper rocket and then put it away without being asked. Ruth read a story on the couch, on time, on script, her voice softening into the rails she'd signed. Bedtime landed at 8:24 for Logan, 8:28 for Mia. I stood in the doorway, listened to the house breathe. Downstairs, Ryan pressed the writer flat like a map and signed his name with deliberate strokes. He looked up. "I called you just a babysitter because I thought the word contract meant cold," he said. "Turns out the contract is how love shows up every night, not just on the best nights." "Paper makes promises keep," I said. "People make paper matter." Sophia slid me an envelope, continuity bonus, first tranche, with a sticky note, "Metrics met. Thank you for teaching us how to be average on purpose." I laughed because it was perfect. Great families aren't epic. They're faithful to the boring things. I logged the night. Rider executed. Family buy-in across generations. Metrics posted. Bedtime ahead of window. Culture resilient. In my private memo, title resolved, contract honored, respect normalized. At the door, Ryan didn't say goodnight right away. He looked toward the stairs, where 2 small people were sleeping on time, and he looked back at me. "Thank you for the rails," he said. "They gave me my dad voice without the yelling." "Keep using it," I said. "The house is listening." He nodded. "Good night, Emily." The snow outside glittered like noise turned down low. Inside, a contract hung on a fridge, a family ran on rails, and a word that used to sting retired from the narrative: paid in full. Continuity isn't a promise until it survives without you standing in the doorway. Saturday was Ava's solo shift, the neighbor teen I'd trained with the cheat sheet and the 3 levers: predict, choice within rails, connection. My job tonight wasn't to lead, it was to watch the system fly. I came an hour early for a last pass. We walked the house like pilots doing pre-flight. "Where's the night kit?" I asked. "Bathroom drawer, thermometer, band-aids, flashlight," she said without peeking. "Code phrase?" "Safety check. Adults pivot, kids stay out of the crossfire." "Hard no? No secrets with kids about safety or bedtime." She had it. Her hands shook anyway. The good kind of nerves that say, "I respect the job." I left my number on the counter and my calm in the walls. The test arrived 5 minutes after I stepped outside. A birthday delivery. Balloons and a box of cupcakes from the neighbor's party 2 doors down. The courier handed it to Ava with a grin like he'd just detonated a sugar bomb. She thanked him, closed the door, and looked at the cupcakes like they were a ticking clock. Ava didn't panic. She read the label. She read the manual on the fridge. Then she did what pros do. She communicated. "Heads up, team," she told Mia and Logan at the table, voice bright but anchored. "Surprise cupcakes arrived. They're for tomorrow after lunch. Tonight is regular rails. Snack, water, wind down. We can decorate them now and eat tomorrow. Deal?" Mia narrowed her eyes. Little CEO negotiating the merger. "1 lick?" Ava smiled. "1 lick per person while we decorate. That's the deal." Logan whispered, "Do jets get sprinkles?" Ava, "Jets get sprinkles tomorrow after landing." She set up an art station instead of a sugar party. Frosting in bowls, spoons like paintbrushes, piping bags as engines. The kitchen hummed with doable joy that didn't wreck bedtime. She sent me a photo at 6:47. 2 kids beaming over 12 perfect cupcakes and exactly 2 frosting mustaches. At 7:18, the doorbell rang again. Heather, of course. PTA smile and a 6th sense for testing boundaries. "I brought goodie bags," she sang, pushing past the frame. "My kids' party overflowed. Let's make it a street thing." Ava stood her ground. Polite, firm, trained. "Thanks so much. We'll pick them up tomorrow. Tonight's low stim. We're in wind down." She blinked at a teenager telling her no with a smile that didn't ask permission. "Where's the babysitter boss?" Ava didn't take the bait. "I'm running rails. If you have feedback, email Sophia." She handed the bags back like a professional returns a wrong order. No drama, just not tonight. Heather tried the adult-to-kid power play. "Sweetie, I'm older. I think I know." Ava didn't flinch. "Safety check," she said softly, eyes warm, tone steel. "We'll see you tomorrow." She closed the door with a gentleness that wouldn't bruise a peach. Upstairs, bath turned into spa hour on purpose. Quiet music, 2 warm towels fresh from the dryer, a silly voice whisper for the rubber duck. She hit the rails. Brush with the astronaut song, PJs, book, longer back rub. At 8:24 and 8:29, the house landed on time. I arrived at 8:40 and found Ava in the kitchen writing the log like she'd been born doing this. Dot. Snack plus water on time. Dot. Cupcakes decorated, saved for tomorrow. Dot. External adult attempted to change plan. Redirected with tomorrow language. Dot. Bedtime smooth. Mia asked for extra reassurance cupcakes, provided. Dot. Notes for morning. Move cupcakes to high shelf, reminder card on the fridge. Ryan read it twice, stunned by how boring and beautiful it was. "You did that?" he asked Ava, voice a little awe, no condescension. Ava shrugged, like a pro pretending not to grin. "Rails did that." Sophia handed her an envelope, training stipend, first payment under the continuity rider. "You're not helping out, Ava. You're a professional. We compensate people who make our mornings work." Ava swallowed emotions like a person not used to being taken that seriously. "Thanks," she said, and it meant a lot. After she left, Ryan leaned on the island and exhaled a laugh. Our house didn't even blink. That's the metric. Systems that survive without the hero in the doorway. I logged the night. Secondary sitter solo flight, successful. Rails held under external pressure. Bedtime on time. In my private memo, continuity proven, culture transferable. That's when you know this isn't just a season,
It's a standard. Sunday brunch, sun like forgiveness across a table that used to be a battlefield. Mia drew a flowchart titled, Cupcake Board Meeting. Logan lined the cupcakes by color, like a tiny supply chain manager. We ate after lunch, exactly as promised, and nobody's nervous system went bankrupt. Then Sophia slid a fresh page onto the island, clean, short, powerful. One last thing, she said. For the file, and for whoever joins this house next time I hire help. The header read, Provider protections apply to designee. I scanned the language I drafted months ago and almost given up on. All protections, fees, and escalation pathways outlined for the provider extend to any trained designee operating under the provider's system during scheduled shifts. Harassment fee triggers, no undermining clause, secrecy prohibition, and attorney fee coverage upon written notice. Plain English, concrete teeth. Ryan whistled low. So, if someone gives Ava the just a babysitter treatment, the paper bites for her too. Exactly, Sophia said. We don't build a humane system on one person's back. We make it portable. The doorbell rang, because narrative timing loves a stage cue. Heather again, this time with her husband and that community service smile. We came to apologize to the team, she said, words a little awkward but trying. I've been dismissive. That was on me. She looked at Ava, who had come by to pick up the stipend receipt. You ran a tight ship last night. Respect. Ava nodded, equal parts shy and proud. Thanks. Heather's husband gestured at the fridge. We saw the manual on a playdate. Sophia sent me a PDF. We're stealing half this thing. Ryan laughed. Take it. We didn't invent gravity. We just stopped pretending vibes could fly planes. Heather glanced at the contract stack on the island. Does it really say stuff about jokes and, like, secrecy? I slid her the one-pager. Behavior that keeps kids regulated. For adults. She read the bullets and actually winced at the secrecy line. Yeah, that was me. I thought I was being fun. Fun's real, I said, kind and non-negotiable. It just lives inside the rails. She nodded, eyes wet, the way grown-ups' eyes get when they realize they've been dragging old habits into new rooms. Copy. When they left, Ryan looked at the designee clause again, and something clicked all the way through. He tapped the line, attorney fee coverage, upon written notice, and didn't make a face this time. It's not about lawsuits, he said, almost to himself. It's about not needing them because everybody knows the rules. Exactly, I said. Contracts are how we love future us, future kids, future sitters. We signed the designee clause. Sophia with her neat, exact signature. Ryan with letters that had learned their own weight. Me as the provider of record. And, last, Ava, hand trembling, name landing like a promise. She looked at her signature like it was a doorway she'd just built herself. I've never signed something that protected me, she said, voice small and enormous at once. Get used to it, Sophia said, smiling. This house writes what we mean. Afternoon drifted. We played a board game that didn't end in tears.
She read the no undermining paragraph, and Ryan said copy. She read the no secrecy line, and Mia whispered hard no like a spell. She read the compliance bonus clause, and Ruth on FaceTime said, boring is the point, and we all laughed because Grandma quoting the manual is how you know a culture's stuck. Then Sophia read the one line that changed the light in the room. Escalation provision. If conditions become hostile or unsafe and don't improve after written notice, client covers attorney's fees and formal complaint filing upon written notice. Ryan didn't flinch away from the mirror. I used to think this line was a threat, he said. Now I think it's a guardrail I'm grateful we never had to crash into. I added the footnote that matters. We didn't need it because the written warning worked. The paper did its job. It told the truth before anyone had to shout. Sophia closed the contract, tapped the spine like a judge's gavel. We're renewing this for another 6 months, she said. Same rails, same clauses, add one line. She looked at Ryan, your line. He cleared his throat,
Surprised but ready, he took a marker and added beneath non-negotiables, "We speak about the people who care for our kids with respect, especially when they aren't in the room." He initialed RW next to it. Then he looked at me. "Will you initial too?" "Gladly," I said, and wrote EC. Paper isn't romantic, it's real. We didn't clap. We went on with the night because that's how you keep culture from becoming a performance. But something else wanted to happen, and Ryan let it. He turned to me. "I owe you one more thing," he said. "Not a speech, an action." He reached into a drawer and pulled out a plain white envelope. No flourish, no sticky note joke. "Back pay on the moments I undermined you before the notice," he said. "Not the fee, we paid that. This is the difference between what I thought your work was and what it actually is." I opened it. It wasn't flashy. It was specific. A short letter with 3 bullet points. Time saved, meltdowns reduced, sleep increased, and a check made out to the exact amount the compliance bonus would have been if we'd started the rails a month earlier. He'd done the math. He'd done the thinking. I didn't make a speech either. I said, "Received," and I meant all the meanings of that word. Mia banged the helmet again. Meeting adjourned, story time. Upstairs, bedtime was a chorus we all knew. The astronaut song rolled like a tide. Logan's breath synced by verse 2. Mia asked for the long back rub, and I obliged because connection is always part of the algorithm. Downstairs, I logged the facts. Contract renewed. Clause read aloud. Non-negotiable added. Goodwill payment made. Culture intact. In my private memo, I wrote the line that would have sounded impossible on night 1. Respect no longer needs an event to exist. At the door, Ryan didn't try to wrap it in a bow. He said, "Good night, Emily," and the word "good" did most of the work. I said, "Good night. See you for the boring stuff." He smiled. "That's the good stuff." The ambush became policy. The policy became practice. The practice became peace. And the contract? It didn't feel like paper anymore. It felt like floorboards. Tuesday evening wore that regular face that hides tests in the pockets. Dishes stacked, homework squared away. The family operating manual sat on the fridge like a lighthouse that forgot how to be dramatic. That's the trick. When a system truly lands, it stops asking for applause. Sophia slid a slim folder across the island. "Quarterly," she said, wry smile. "I'm an ops nerd. I do audit trails now." Inside, a printout of my logs cross-referenced with calendar entries, a color bar for bedtime windows, a tiny chart that looked like a heart rate calming down over a month. Data with a soul. Ryan studied the page like it might bite or bless him. "That dip," he said, pointing at week 1, "that's the weekend I kept calling you just the—" I said, "Early turbulence. The plane didn't crash. The paper learned us." He chuckled, then sobered. "Our mornings used to feel like we were late to a fire that we started. Now it's coffee and sneakers." He tapped the chart again. "I want to keep earning this." We walked the rails through the evening like a band that knows the set list by muscle. Predict. 10 minutes till bath. Choice within rails. Astronaut PJs or dinosaurs? Connection. 2 verses, long back rub. No speeches, just beats. At 7:25, the doorbell rang. Landlord doing routine maintenance checks with a clipboard and the tragic habit of talking to women like they're interns. He clocked the manual on the fridge and smirked. "Wow, you guys run a daycare now." He aimed it at Sophia, eyebrows performing like he wanted a trophy for sarcasm. Sophia didn't flinch. "We run a household," she said, even. "We also respect our provider's work." She didn't look at me for backup. That's growth, not outsourcing your spine. He swung the smirk my way. "So you wrote the rules?" "I wrote the interface. The family built the rules with me. They own them." He tried to step over the line with a joke about fees. "What happens if I call you just the babysitter? I get an invoice?" And Ryan didn't blink. "Not you," he said. "We reserve invoices for people inside this house. You can just read the clock and keep it moving." The check was fast. The vibe was unmoved. He left with a shrug that didn't stick to anything. Mia watched the door close, eyes running her own audit. Was he being mean? I said, just sloppy. We keep our edges clean. Other people can learn. We landed bedtime at 8:22 and 8:27, the data points adding themselves to Sophia's chart whether we looked or not. Downstairs, I filled in the log like always, pieces of a mosaic no one frames because it's the wall. Sophia added 2 sticky notes to the folder. Next quarter goals. Kids self-initiate wind-down lights. Dad runs bedtime solo 1 night a week to keep the muscle warm. Ryan nodded like a man who knows practice is a gift. Put me down for Wednesdays, he said, and for the record, he touched the manual, gentle. I like our boring. I closed the folder and handed it back. I didn't trail isn't proof. It's memory that doesn't argue. He smiled. Our old memory used to lie. Receipts don't. At the door, Ruth texted a picture of Mia's astronaut policy taped to her own fridge with a caption, I'm learning you're boring. We laughed because the revolution looked like handwriting and tape. I logged the night. Landlord test, deflected. Family-owned language. Bedtime on time. Audit trail established. In my private memo, respect now defends itself. System no longer fragile. The house slept. The chart breathed. Tomorrow would arrive unexciting and perfect. Wednesday afternoon, Sophia's number lit up with urgency, but not panic. She said, got a ping from HR. Someone complained about me using company benefits for a babysitter. I need you to come by early. Bring the contract. HR isn't scary when your paperwork is clean. It's just a room where words wear suits. We set the scene like a courtroom that forgot to be adversarial. Kitchen table, contract binder, rider, designate clause, logs, the fridge manual in the background like a choir humming. We looped in Maya from HR on a video call. Sleek glasses, voice that knows how to lower a room without making it small. Household benefit audit, she said, crisp. We support dependent care. Someone flagged the line item. We just need clarity. Ryan stood with his palms down on the table like the wood was a podium. Clarity is all we've got, he said, then gestured to me without ceding ground. Emily owns the system. I walked Maya through the architecture, outcomes tied to metrics, 2-week sleep stability, morning meltdown reduction, secondary sitter trained and successful, emergency protocols, the cleaner spill, the fever night, the blackout. I didn't sell. I reported. Ops, not vibes. Maya scanned the rider. Professional continuity clause, she read. Dependencies, measurable deliverables, pre-tax retainer where eligible. She nodded. This is exactly what the benefit is for. Sophia exhaled like a dam finally decided to be a river. Thank you. Maya wasn't finished. The complaint also referenced language about an attorney fee coverage clause. That's escalation, correct? I said, last resort, preventative, not punitive. We issued 1 written warning early on. Conduct improved, no further action. I let the zeros on the harassment fee line since the addendum do the talking. Maya smiled with the tiny corner of her mouth that HR people use when they want you to feel like a grown-up who did their homework. Understood. We'll close this as compliant and, if you're willing, use your manual as a sample for other employees requesting dependent care support. Ryan blinked, stunned. You want to share our boring? Boring scales. That's why planes don't fall out of the sky, Maya said. We ended the call with a consent form and a quiet high five to paperwork. Then the doorbell rang again, narrative being narrative. Heather, holding a tote of PTA flyers and the expression of a person who'd heard about the HR thing and wanted to audition for instigator. I just think it's wild, she said, toe already over the line. Company